Hey guys, I'm going to teach you how to use tappet cutters. So these cutters are a little bit different than traditional cutters. They're usually lined up in a row. They have different fonts available. I'll put the link to my Amazon shop in the description. So first thing I do is I take my fondant and I add Tylose powder in it. It just makes the fondant dry harder and stiffer, and it's a little bit easier to cut. And then I roll it out pretty thin. I add a little bit of cornstarch to the cutter, and then I make sure the cutter fits right on top of that letter there. And then I like to use a hard surface. I'm using a self-healing mat to rub the letter back and forth on. It just creates a good amount of friction there to take off any excess fondant that's around the letter. And it's also great because it just gives a little bit of distance between your work surface. And you see how I kind of just hang the letter off of that little mat there, and I just flick it backwards. So I kind of just get the letter to flick out versus me trying to pick it out with something sharp, because sometimes the sharp object that you're using can go through the letter. I'm going to show you again here. I'm doing another letter. I put a little bit of cornstarch and I'm rubbing it back and forth. I peel off the excess. And then I put it on the edge, and then I kind of just pull back the top and I flick it. Don't pull too hard. I've done that before where I've actually cracked one of those in half. So you kind of got to be gentle with it until that letter or number flicks out. And I'm going to show you again. And you always want to make sure that your fondant's not too thick. If it's too thick, it just won't come out. It has to be thin enough where it's going to fit in that exact cavity there for the number or letter. See, I'm just rubbing it back and forth, and then I peel off my excess. And if you have a letter that has like a little piece stuck inside, or like how there's a little piece in the middle, you can take that out with something sharp. I use a pen blade. So I'm flicking this one back and forth. It's not coming out. So you might be tempted to pull it, and you see how that just broke in half there. So don't do that. Don't try pulling it out. If it's stuck, that just means that it's really not going to come out, and you just need to do that letter over again. So sometimes that just means that your fondant is too thick. Take out any excess fondant from your cutter. I'm using a pen blade, which you can also find those in my Amazon shop. So just putting a little bit of cornstarch on that letter there, rubbing it back and forth on top of the fondant, trying to peel off the excess. Getting out that little tiny part in the middle of the A with a pen blade, and any other letters or numbers around it, take that fondant out also. Put that letter right on the edge there and give it a good flick, and it pops right out. So they're pretty easy to use if you just follow these directions. Let me know if you have any questions.